Are you planning a trip to Istanbul? Then you have come to the right place. We're Jess and Miles, and we have spent the past couple of years here trying to help others fall in love with this city just like we have. Today we're going to be exploring one of Istanbul's most iconic sites, the former Chora Church, now known as the Kariye Mosque. It has been closed for the past 4 years for renovations, and it just reopened its doors this past May.
Before we dive into everything you need to know about visiting the Kariye Mosque, you should know we offer a free planning and packing checklist that we'll link in the description. You should definitely check it out. It's full of a ton of helpful tips, and it's free.
It's a little before 9 a.m. now. The mosque is open to visitors from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and we got here a little early this morning so we could be one of the first inside. This is actually the first time we're going to be seeing this mosque. It has been on our list for years, but like we mentioned, it has been closed, so we are very excited that it reopened this year.
We still have a lot of logistics to share, like the best ways to get here, buying tickets, and some other great things to see in this area. But first, let's get inside and see Chora Church.
Real quick, if you're planning a trip to Turkey, or any other country for that matter, you should strongly consider getting travel medical insurance. No one likes to think about accidents or illness when you are preparing for a trip of a lifetime, but the reality is things can happen.
It bit me too!
So while you're checking everything off your to-do list leading up to your trip, be sure to look into travel medical insurance.
We have partnered with SafetyWing for this video because we love how comprehensive and flexible their plans are. They can cover you in I think over 170 different countries, and in addition to travel medical insurance, their plans also include things like lost luggage, travel delay, and trip interruption. They also have some great add-ons for things like adventure sports and electronics theft.
They have plans that allow you to only select the days of your travel or recurring monthly plans for longer adventures. So whether you're a digital nomad like us or just planning a 2-week trip to Turkey, they have options. We have carried travel medical insurance for years because you never know what could happen while abroad. One of the things I really appreciate about SafetyWing is their live chat feature with a real team to help you get answers to your questions about coverage.
And let's be serious, insurance can be very confusing, and nobody likes to read through all the fine print just to find out if you're actually going to be covered if you'd like to go paragliding on the coast here in Turkey, for example. Being able to get quick answers from a real person really sets them apart, in my opinion.
You should really consider getting travel medical insurance for your trip. It is quick and easy to sign up, and the policies cost as little as a few dollars per day, which is totally worth it in our opinion to have the extra peace of mind. We will include a link in the description below. Be sure to check them out.
Okay, let's get back to Chora Church.
When it first reopened in May, it was completely free to visit for a few months, but that didn't last long. They have just recently added a €20 entry fee for foreign visitors, unless you're coming for worship, and then it is still free. The Chora Church was built during the Byzantine Empire, likely dating back to the 4th century. Over time, it became known for its beautiful mosaics and frescoes, which were added in the 14th century. After the Ottomans took over the city, the church was converted into a mosque, but the mosaics and frescoes were covered and remained very well preserved underneath. Fast forward to the 1940s, and the building was restored and transformed into a museum, allowing visitors to once again appreciate the artwork. In 2020, it was reconverted back into a mosque, and like we mentioned, it has been closed for the past 4 years for renovations. The Chora Church is considered to be one of the most beautiful surviving examples of later Byzantine art. Once inside, you'll be blown away by the intricate details of the mosaics and frescoes, illustrating scenes from the life of Christ and the Virgin Mary. Even though this is now an active mosque, most of the artwork remains visible, and it is absolutely stunning. After waiting years for Chora Church to reopen, we are so glad we finally got the chance to visit.
Okay, we spent about an hour inside, and we've come just below the church down to a park to share our thoughts. Honestly, those are some of the best mosaics that we have seen in all of our travels, and we had pretty high expectations coming into this. Each one of the pieces of artwork are beautiful all by themselves, but together they tell so many of the stories of the Bible, which is really cool.
So the building itself is actually pretty small, but you have an outer and an inner hallway, and that's where most of the frescoes and mosaics are. So that's where we spent most of our time reading about all the different artwork before we went into the main prayer area.
And in the main prayer area, since it's been converted back into a mosque, we expected the mosaics to be covered, but they weren't, which was really a surprise. I hope it's that way when other people visit, since we're making a video of it. We were expecting it to be covered. We had read that it would be covered, so maybe if you come and it's covered, I'm sorry, it wasn't for us.
We have some footage for you. Now it is time to talk about all the logistics you need to know before you visit. We already mentioned it costs 20 euros per person for foreign tourists to enter. If you want to buy tickets in advance, there's an option we found through Get Your Guide. We actually just made a video about purchasing tickets for Hagia Sophia in advance through Get Your Guide, and there is a similar skip the line entry ticket option for here at Chora Church as well.
Honestly, we got here first thing in the morning and there was no line, so there was really no need for us to have tickets in advance. Frankly, we're pretty far outside the main tourist area here, so I doubt it gets too crazy busy, so skipping the line here probably isn't as valuable as it would be for Hagia Sophia.
We left the church a little after 10 and it was getting busier inside at that point, but there still wasn't a line outside. But if you are somebody who likes to have everything booked in advance, we will put a link in the description below. It costs about $3 extra per ticket if you do want to buy the tickets in advance, and then you'll be able to skip the line if there is one.
And like we mentioned, it is an active mosque, so that does mean dressing appropriately. Covering your shoulders and your knees, and women will need to bring a headscarf. But don't worry if you forget one, you can get one at the ticket booth for a small fee. Most of the mosaics and frescoes are located in the outer halls, but when you go into the inner prayer area, you will need to remove your shoes. And there is a free audio guide that you can access on your phone, but you will want headphones, so either bring your own or you can rent them at the ticket booth. The audio portion of the guide is really just an introduction to the building, and the rest is really reading about all of the different artwork. There's information on each one inside the guide.
It's important to know the mosque is closed to visitors during prayer time, and there are 5 per day, and they change each day. I believe they stopped letting tourists inside around 15 minutes before each prayer time, so we will link a website in the description where you can check the prayer times and plan your visit accordingly. Also, they are completely closed to visitors on Fridays, so just something else to keep in mind when you're planning your visit here.
As for how to get here, like we mentioned, we're pretty far outside the main tourist area here in Istanbul, so it does take some extra effort to get all the way out here. Since we were coming from Cappadocia this morning, we took the Marmara across the Bosphorus to Yenikapı and then took the M1A line to Topkapı Ulubatlı, and it was about 20-minute walk from the metro station, and in total it took us about an hour to get here.
Obviously, we cannot cover all of the different options on how to get here from different parts of the city, but if you're coming from Sultanahmet, for example, you could take the T1 to the T4. If you're coming from around the Spice Bazaar, you could take the T5 to Balat, which on that note, that tram actually goes all the way now, so it's much easier to get to Balat, so
keep that in mind.
Thumbs up for that. But both of these options are going to require a little bit of walking because there's no line that brings you directly here. You can always just take a taxi, and there are buses as well, but just keep in mind the traffic can be pretty terrible here. Anyway, you can navigate all of these options very easily on Google Maps with the transit layer turned on. Just something else to keep in mind, that if you are looking at a bus route, it's going to give you a time. That time is not accurate because they are not taking into account traffic.
You might want to just remove buses as an option, just so that you don't get tricked into taking a bus when otherwise a metro or a tram line would be better.
Yeah, buses always longer than what it tells you. Side note here, but it's important.
So, is Kariye Mosque worth visiting? The short answer is definitely yes. It is pretty expensive to visit, but it is a beautiful site, and if you're interested in Byzantine history, it's an absolute must. Just keep in mind that coming all the way out here can be a minimum of a half day, if not a full day commitment, which can be tough to prioritize depending on how much time you have here in Istanbul. But there are some other great things to see and do nearby that can definitely make the trip out here worth the effort.
For example, if I were giving my recommendations on how somebody could spend a half day or a full day in this area, you could start the morning here at Chora Church, then you could go see the nearby city walls, before rounding out the morning, walking through the neighborhood of Balat, have lunch at one of the cute cafes, and then you can make your way back to the old city.
If you haven't had your fill on historic sites, you can visit the, I have no idea the name of the palace.
Tekfur Palace Museum.
Okay. You could also visit the Tekfur Palace Museum for more Byzantine history, or the Mira Sultan Mosque for those of you who like the work of the famous Ottoman architect Mimar Sinan.
Or, if you do want to go visit that mosque, pro tip, what we did this morning, because like we said, we got here really early, we actually went to that mosque.
The Mira Sultan Mosque.
That mosque first, because it was open.
Yeah.
So we went in there at like 7:30 this morning, before
since
coming
Chora
here.
Church doesn't open until 9, it was on our walk from the metro. We just walked in.
Wait, let's see. Mira Sultan Mosque, Chora Church, City Walls and Tekfur Palace, then Balat. That's basically what our day is going to look like. So needless to say, there are plenty of things to do in the area to fill your day. All right, that's going to do it for us today. We have mentioned a lot of different resources throughout this video. Like I said, all of those will be linked in the description below, including our free planning and packing checklist, so be sure to check that out. Thank you so much for watching. Snack, walls, Balat Turkish breakfast.
I did see like a cement place.
Yeah, I need that, but I gotta wash my hands. All right, well, hopefully we can, we were concise enough with all this information. Who really knows?
We'll put it together in some way, shape, or form. Let us know how we did.